Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to report to you some stories related to the situation in Ukraine involving Russia and some other relevant stories. So let's start with the first one. This is a positive story coming from TASS. It says fifth Turkish bank starts accepting Russia's Mir cards. So starting recently, Halk Bank started giving service to Mir cards, and this story is from June 23. It says now it's possible to withdraw cash and pay for purchases with Mir cards using its devices, and Russian Mir cards can also be used in another 5 banks in total. Ish Bankasi, Sirat Bankasi, Bakiv Bank, Deniz Bank, and now recently Halk Bank. Mir cards are currently accepted in 10 countries, that is Turkey, Vietnam, Armenia, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, South Ossetia, and Abkhazia. And the first deputy governor of the Bank of Russia says that the Mir card could soon be accepted in 4 more countries. And recently there were some talks in the BRICS conference that some additional countries, maybe countries that are part of the BRICS group, will be interested in accepting Mir cards. So maybe those are the 4 countries that they are mentioning. I'm not entirely sure, but if that's the case, that will be Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. So that will be very, very good. Let's see what happens, but these are good news, especially, Turkey has been very smart, I think, in my opinion. They have tried to remain as neutral as possible. They have not imposed any sanctions on Russia, and in general the Turkish population is somehow friendly, or at least neutral, to Russia and to everyone, actually, not just to Russia. So I think it's the smart thing to do. Well done for Turkey. This one comes from Kherson. They say the Kherson region expects to join Russia by the end of the year, and they plan to do a referendum apparently in the autumn. And the deputy head of the region Civil's military administration, Kirill Stremosov, said that he was confident that the majority of local residents will support the idea of joining Russia. They say Russia is a nation that will allow us to have a promising future of our own, while Ukraine has failed as a country. So those are the news. I think it's also very positive. There is evidence that people in the region are interested in joining Russia, so why not do it? And this is a story that is coming from this website called Energy Intelligence, and they give very good information. In essence, they say that shipping data shows that Europe is currently buying even more Russian diesel and other products than it did last year. So they have this planned ban of stop buying Russian gas, Russian oil, and all these things, but actually they say Russian product imports have proved even more troublesome. Volumes tallied 1.2 million barrels per day during the first 3 weeks of June, exceeding last year 1.1 million barrels per day average. And they say, of course, the ban is coming by the next month, but right now they are trying to buy all these energy sources from US and West Africa, and they are also trying to increase their production on the North Sea. I think the North Sea is belongs to the United Kingdom, and they are sharing this with all the nations, I guess, in the United Kingdom. I'm not sure of the particular deals about this. And starting next year, the ban will start, but then the US and the Middle East and India will be in line to be the suppliers of additional diesel and jet fuel, but those supplies will come at a big premium. And just so you know, India doesn't produce oil, so what they will actually do is Russia will sell the oil to India, and then India will sell it to Europe at a higher cost. That's what is going to happen. So this is absolutely ridiculous. So they can say they were buying the oil from India and the public will not never know about it, you know. Additionally, sharply higher oil prices mean Moscow's oil income is much higher than last year despite the discount, because Russia is selling at a discount, but because the oil prices in the market have risen, actually even with a discount they're still buying at a surplus price compared to before the war, no? And this is a similar situation. Now they say the EU is importing 70,000 barrels per day from Estonia, and the trade has not received the same public stigma since the products are shipped by a member of the EU. But Estonia doesn't produce oil. Estonia doesn't even have refineries, so they're buying it from Russia and then they're reselling it to the European Union. They're really so smart, you know. The politicians have everything already figured out. This comes from Germany. They say German economy minister wants of industry shut down amid gas shortage. So let's take a look. It says Germany is heading for a gas shortage and certain industries will have to be shut down if there is not enough. Companies will have to stop production, lay off their workers, supply chains will collapse, people will go into debt to pay their heating bills, and that people will become poor. But this is the ridiculous part, you know, politicians again. This is part of Russian President Vladimir Putin's strategy to divide the country. So everything that happens in Germany is the fault of Putin. You know, who will know? And say Putin's plans must not be allowed to work out. Consumers could see a doubling or tripling of their energy costs, but everything is okay, you know, because politicians say it is. Germany triggered phase 2 of 3 of its emergency gas plan on Thursday, which kicks in when the government sees high risk of long-term supply shortages of gas. So I recently made a video about this situation, that if they're struggling right now, what are they going to do if Russia suddenly decides, you know, to say, okay, I'm going to declare an energy embargo, I'm not going to sell you anything, these are my sanctions, the counter sanctions against you, then they will really cry. You know, if right now, all these sanctions are self-imposed, they impose them on Russia to hurt Russia, and actually they're hurting their own population. So imagine if Russia were to impose sanctions on them. I don't know what will happen. You know, if they're already talking about industry shutting down, the whole economy will shut down if that case were to occur. This is again from Biden. Says he's blaming Putin for high gas prices as Russian oil sales soar. So we saw some of these in the previous article. But basically, US-led sanctions campaign against Russia has backfired on the West, you know, and Moscow is making more money. But Biden continues to blame Russia, but he only, you know, ever so small claims that this is also having to do something with the policies, and this is making things worse for the Americans. But to justify the decision, he says, we cut off Russian oil into the United States and some partners. Europe did the same, knowing that we will see higher prices. And he called on he also did some kind of very small measure to counteract some of this. He called on Congress to suspend the federal gas tax. This will not be really big. It will mean only a few cents discount on the price of gas. So this is probably ridiculous. I don't think they knew or they didn't foresee that they will see higher gas prices. But let's pay attention to the justification. No? He says, we could have turned a blind eye to Putin's murderous ways and the price of gas wouldn't have spiked the way it has. I believe that would have been wrong. No? So, again, everything is Putin's fault. He's such a killer, and everything. But at the same time, he plans to meet with the Saudi Arabia prince, which has been leading a brutal war against Yemen since 2015 with the US backing, and they have killed at least 377,000 people. So who is the killer? Putin. Putin is the killer. So they're just being hypocritical. They are not doing this to defend the human rights or anything else. They are not doing this out of their good heart. It's not. No, it's just hypocritical. And again, they are shooting themselves in the foot because they could have find a way around this problem, lifting sanctions on Iran and Venezuela, but instead they are putting even more sanctions on Iran, and they have gave some small relief to sanctions on Venezuela, which is not enough, of course, for Venezuela. So they don't want to even do this, and they're doing this again not out of their good heart. They're just doing because they need some oil from Venezuela, so they are going to remove some sanctions. So suddenly, the president of Venezuela is not Juan Guaido. Is actually the real president of Venezuela, the one that sits on top of the country's government and is able to actually sell some oil to the United States. Maduro, the president of Venezuela. But still, they are not even willing to recognize that he's the president of Venezuela. There is just more hypocritical of these things. Anyway, at the end is the Americans, Europeans who are feeling the economic pain, and China and India have helped Russians buy more oil, and there is actually, China is now he made Russia the number one exporter of oil to India, and now the number two is Saudi Arabia. Again, this story is related to Russia and says Russia to supply Iskander-M missile systems to Belarus in coming months, and they are going to supply this missile, which is famous because it has dual use. So you can have both ballistic and cruise missiles, both in standard and nuclear modifications. So they are trying to do this in a way that will give ambiguity, So they are giving this kind of missiles, and nobody knows if they're actually going to have nuclear heads or not. But it is possible. So, and they have the right because Belarus is allied to Russia, And this comes from Mariupol. They say full restoration of Mariupol will take from 3 to 5 years. This is estimated from Alexander Kaufman, chairman of the public chamber of the Donetsk People's Republic. He says the city is incrementally returning to peaceful life. The operation of public transport has been resumed. The territory of the city is being cleaned. Public utility companies are working to restore water and power supply. So, good news for Mariupol, which had a very bad situation there in the war. And related again to Belarus, Russian President Vladimir Putin is proposing to modify some Su-25 aircraft that are used by Belarus at Russian factories. And this is a response to the training flights of NATO planes near the Belarusian borders. So this is again something that I already mentioned in another video. I think Russia recognizes the importance of Belarus. Belarus is going to be defending its flank, so I think it's better for Russia to have a powerful Belarus that will be able to defend itself, rather than being forced to send Russian troops. In case of a conflict, it's better if Russia can stand on its own, rather than being the weaker link in the whole strategy. So that's all, guys, for now. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section, and as always, I ask you to please like this video, share it on social media, and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.